Hello, and my name is Anthony Blair, and today I'm going to be talking about what it means to be earnest. So, first things first, let me just sit down because my spine is absolutely killing me. When I think about the power of literature, I often think about shaping generations, enriching people's lives, and many stories fantasy. But that's not what all literature is all about. It's a tool that is made to push people forward and show them their mistakes from different experiences. Just like in the book that I read, In the Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde. This this character, Jack Worthing, and his best friend Algernon get caught up in so many lies that they end up hurting people that they say that they love. To quote Henry James, it takes a great deal of history to produce a little bit of literature. This meaning that it takes a whole bunch of history, which is years, to create literature, which is experiences. Luckily, we don't have to do that because we have books and we could actually go into the story and take ideas and get actually the meaning of the literature behind it. To start off, number one, the lie. For some context, let me just run you through the story. Algernon and his servant Lane were talking about marriage and what actually makes a good relationship. As they go on, Jack enters Algernon's house and starts talking to him like usual because they're best friends. Until he brings up the fact that he is in love with Gwendolyn, which Algernon doesn't really seem to care, even though that is his cousin. But as it goes on, Algernon says to go to his servant Lane to go get his cigarette, Mr. Jack's, or as he says, Ernest's cigarette case from last time that they were dining together. As this happens, Jack starts sweating because he realizes that it's just gonna come out. So Lane hands Algernon the case, and which reads from Cecilia with her fondest love from dear Uncle Jack, which you can see here. After saying more lies, he eventually says the truth that his name is Ernest in town and Jack in the country, and he also goes on to say that old man Thomas adopted him when he was a little boy, and he has a granddaughter, which is Cicely, and which she addresses him as uncle, just out of respect. And she also has a teacher called Miss Priss. Number two, the lie of admission. As the story goes on, you can fully see that there's a trend of lying. A lie of omission is when when, for example, people were to say I love green apples. I hate green apples. If I were to not say anything every single time when they said I love green apples, I would be lying of omission because it is in fact not true. So Algernon's truth about his name Jack's truth of him actually not being Ernest comes back to bite him when he asks Miss Gwendolyn Fairfax to marry him. She says, and I quote, "My own Ernest." She also goes on to say, "Jack, there's no little music in the name Jack. Indeed, it does not thrill. It produces no vibrations. I have known several Jacks, and they're all without exception with more usual plain. Besides, Jack is a non-traditional domesticity for John, and I pity any woman that is named John," which is hilarious because actually Jack's full name is Jack John, and of course it's Jack John Worthington because he got Mr. Worthington's name. Well, he called him. Actually, he did not get Mr. Worthington's name. Thomas found him and then actually just put the name Worthington for his last name. Number three, the crash of lies. As it all comes full circle, Jack decides to probably go check on his niece, Cecilia. So he goes up the country. Of course, they're not blood related, like I've said before. Um, while going, while going up, Algernon goes before him and actually falls in love with Cecilia. The only problem is that he's in the same boat as Jack. He's pretending to be a man named Ernest. He finally gets the courage to ask her to marry him, and with no effort, she says yes. And she says, quote, "There's something about the name that inspires absolute confidence. I pity any woman that has a husband that is not named Ernest." So he's in the exact same spot as his friend Jack. This is hilarious, like I just said. And when Jack makes it up to the country, to his big surprise, he has a visitor from his brother, Ernest. Jack gets very upset and refuses to shake his hand, but Cecilia forces them to. As time goes on, Jack and Algernon both go off to do their business. But Jack has a new visitor. Yes, you guessed it, Gwendolyn, the love of his life. And she bumps into Cecilia and they start talking about their love lives. After some time, they both realize that they have the love of the life that is both named Ernest. After some time, both Jack and Algernon come back from their business and they're shocked to see Gwendolyn and Cecilia staring at them. This is when Jack finally does the right thing and actually comes clean and says that he cannot deny it. He could deny that he could deny it if he liked it. I could deny anything if I liked, but my name is certainly John. It's been John for years. He comes truth in the end. Thus the crash of lies. The web of lies that they've spun was humongous. They got people that weren't even supposed to be involved in it, like when he just went up to see Cecilia because Algernon thought it was funny to just go up as an alter version of himself, and Miss Priss and other people when they didn't really need to. In conclusion, you could fully see that the thing to get away from this literature, the power of literature with this, the message that they're trying to give off is that lies come back to get you in different ways, in avenues in life. Lies just spin webs of deception, and the more you lie, the more you're going to have to lie to cover up that other lie.